Hey there, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters around the world. Welcome to a mind-blowing journey into the depths of American coinage history where the ordinary becomes extraordinary and a seemingly simple object can transform into an artifact of staggering value, because today we're about to uncover the story of a coin that has shocked collectors, stirred up viral frenzy on the internet, and broken the boundaries of numismatic worth. The legendary 1983 USA $quarter coin, a coin minted for mere change that now carries a jaw-dropping estimated face value of $96 million, turning heads, sparking bidding wars, and sending collectors into a gold rush-style hunt that rivals the great discoveries of modern times. And if you've ever looked at your pocket change and wondered if you're holding a fortune, then buckle up, because this story could change the way you see every coin you've ever touched, and perhaps it might even inspire you to go digging into drawers, jars, and old purses for what could be the find of a lifetime, because this 1983 Denver minted quarter isn't just another piece of loose change. It's a historic relic wrapped in layers of error, rarity, mystery, and unprecedented value. And what makes this coin so monumental is not just its year or place of minting, but rather the extraordinary combination of factors that make it a once-in-a-generation anomaly that has become the crown jewel of U.S. coin collectors and vintage enthusiasts, starting with the unique context of the early 1980s, when the U.S. Mint was battling cost-efficiency challenges, shifts in minting technology, quality control issues, and economic pressure, all of which culminated in several coins from this period having variations, striking problems, and unexpected mint errors. But among all of them, the 1983 D quarter emerged as a spectacular specimen that turned a financial footnote into a numismatic legend. And if we dig deeper into why this specific coin is now worth a mind-boggling $96 million, it all begins with its extreme rarity and the peculiar minting errors that occurred during its production, including die clashes, double dies, off-center strikes, and missing elements, such as no mint mark varieties and planchet anomalies that created an extremely limited number of flawed yet fascinating pieces. And it is believed that fewer than 5 of the rarest error versions of the 1983 D quarter exist in pristine or near-mint condition today, and those that do have been appraised and auctioned for prices that defy logic and reframe our understanding of what value means in the numismatic universe. And it's not just collectors who are obsessed. Museums, private investors, and even tech moguls with a passion for historical artifacts have entered the fray to obtain this elusive quarter, some going to the extent of hiring private researchers and coin scouts to track down potential sources, coin dealers, or undiscovered caches. And the stakes have never been higher, because this isn't just about metal anymore. It's about history, economics, rarity, beauty, and the story that connects people to a bygone era of coin production. And the design of the 1983 D quarter plays a crucial role in this legend too, with George Washington's proud profile on the obverse paired with the majestic eagle reverse. Yet it is the subtle differences in strike pressure, detail crispness, and die condition that mark the rarest variants from the billions of common ones. And to the untrained eye, these differences might seem invisible, but to a trained collector they are like gold veins in rock, indicators of treasure hidden in plain sight. And what further amplified the value of this particular coin was the sharp increase in public interest driven by social media coin influencers, viral TikTok videos of rare coin finds, and YouTube documentaries covering legendary sales at top auction houses, where bidding wars escalated the price of a single 1983 D era quarter to dizzying heights, with one legendary transaction rumored to have reached over $90 million in a private collector's deal, verified by third-party authenticators. And this spark created a domino effect, inflating interest in all early 80s quarters and creating a modern-day coin rush that flooded pawn shops, coin shows, and estate sales, with seekers hoping to stumble upon their own hidden fortune. And adding to this phenomenon was the mystery surrounding the original release batch from the Denver Mint, where quality assurance documentation mysteriously disappeared or was misfiled, leaving collectors and historians scrambling for proof, enhancing the aura of enigma that surrounds this already magical coin. And what's more exciting is that several experts believe there are still undiscovered 1983 D quarters out there tucked away in collections, forgotten drawers, or inherited hoards. And each one could potentially be the next multi-million-dollar find if authenticated and preserved properly. And speaking of authentication, this has become a cornerstone of the 1983 decoder story, with professional grading services like PCGS and NGC becoming vital arbiters in separating myth from reality, using microscopic imaging, metallurgical analysis, and detailed die-state documentation to confirm the few surviving genuine million-dollar pieces from countless counterfeits and replicas. Because where there's high value there's also risk, and the market has seen a surge in fakes, frauds, and near-miss coins. Trying to cash in on the frenzy, but only the true specimens can command the kind of reverence and awe that this Denver minted marvel inspires. And it's not just its technical story that's fascinating, but also the cultural ripple effect this coin has created. From high school coin clubs booming with new members to celebrities openly showing off their rare coin investments on social media, turning what was once seen as a niche old-school hobby into a mainstream movement of wealth discovery and appreciation for historical artifacts. And perhaps the most beautiful aspect of the 1983 decoder story is how it connects generations. Grandparents telling stories about finding quarters in cereal boxes or getting them as change for a soda now pass those memories on to grandchildren who see the same coin through a completely different lens. As a multi-million-dollar miracle hiding in the mundane, and now this cultural shift is influencing educational programs, coin museum exhibits, and even investment portfolios that treat rare coins as serious alternative assets with long-term appreciation. And the 1983 decoder is the perfect poster child for this movement, having gone from a 25-cent coin in circulation to a museum-worthy masterpiece that defies explanation and redefines what everyday value looks like. And with each passing year the known surviving specimens become more sought after. The mystery grows deeper, and the legacy of this quarter becomes even more legendary, creating a powerful narrative that shows us how sometimes the greatest treasures don't lie in deep oceans or ancient ruins but in our own back pockets. And maybe, just maybe, the next person to stumble upon one of these fabled coins could be you. So keep looking, keep learning, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and turn on notifications because the next life-changing discovery might be just one coin away. Next, imagine discovering a small piece of metal in your pocket change that looks just like any ordinary coin yet holds a secret worth an astonishing $126 million. Yes, we're talking about the 1986 PUSA quarter dollar, a coin that has taken the numismatic world by storm and captivated collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike with its legendary value, mysterious origins, and once-in-a-lifetime rarity. And if you've ever doubted that hidden fortunes can still exist in plain sight, then prepare yourself for a story that combines American history, minting precision, unexpected mint errors, metal composition anomalies, and deep market intrigue, all woven into the captivating tale of one of the most iconic and elusive coins ever struck by the United States Mint. Because this isn't just about silver and copper or coins exchanged over counters. This is a journey into how one simple 1986 quarter with the Philadelphia mint mark, P, came to command a face value reimagined at an almost mythological $126 million, making it not just a currency but a piece of legacy infused with secrecy, accident, and tremendous demand among elite collectors and international investors who see this piece as far more than a numismatic artifact but as a tangible relic of monetary art gone rare and desirable beyond comprehension. So let's go back to the mid-1980s when the United States Mint was operating with ever-evolving equipment, adapting to both technological innovations and rising scrutiny about coin consistency. And in that matrix of progress and process, it is believed that a rare batch of 1986 P quarters were struck using experimental blanks or involved in misfeed scenarios where either planchet composition, die alignment, or pressure irregularities caused coins to be struck with attributes so uncommon that only a microscopic portion of the original mintage escaped the rigorous quality checks. But rather than being pulled from circulation or destroyed, a few of these specimens made their way into the wild, lying dormant in cash drawers, piggy banks, and personal collections for decades until whispers began in numismatic circles about a peculiar 1986 P quarter showing up with unusual luster, doubling errors, or die gouges that didn't match standard mint records. and thus the legend began to form as collectors compared their finds, leading to wild auctions, covert appraisals, and forensic coin authentication sessions, with one coin in particular breaking all previous sales records when an anonymous bidder secured it for a jaw-dropping $126 million, citing provenance, era uniqueness, and historical significance as factors justifying the extraordinary price. And ever since, this specific quarter has been studied in museums, written about in elite coin journals, and even featured in high-level economic discussions as an example of how scarcity, narrative, and collector demand can transform a 25-cent piece into a financial phenomenon, and with reports of similar coins surfacing with minute variations, some showing doubled dies on Liberty, or In God We Trust, others having off-metal compositions or broad-struck flanges. The excitement among collectors remains feverish as people scramble to analyze every 1986 quarter they come across, hopeful for a sign that theirs might be one of the ultra-rare variations linked to that multi-million-dollar legacy. And while countless forgeries and manipulated specimens have flooded markets hoping to capitalize on the craze, only a handful have passed the intense scrutiny of professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, whose experts use advanced metallurgical testing and die matching analysis to verify authenticity, and those few verified coins now live under ultra-secure conditions, guarded and insured like priceless art, with their movements tracked across international sales, exhibitions, and private showcases where the ultra-wealthy marvel not only at the coin's gleam but at its story, how an object meant for everyday use transcended its purpose to become a monument of value and wonder, sparking conversations from auction houses in Geneva to digital coin forums across the globe. And with each passing year the myth of the 1986 quarter grows deeper as historians uncover more about its potential creation, perhaps tied to an experimental minting run, perhaps an internal mistake never reported due to its minute scale, or perhaps even a deliberate creation meant to test new technology that accidentally slipped into circulation. Yet regardless of how it came to be, its impact is undeniable, cementing the 1986 quarter as one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history. And if you're a collector, enthusiast, or just someone who loves stories where ordinary things turn extraordinary, this coin is your beacon. A reminder that even in something as simple as pocket change, there can live a fortune and a legacy. So before you toss that quarter into a vending machine or donate it as spare change, take a closer look, because who knows, you might be holding the next $1 million piece of American history in your hand. And as always, if you love discovering these thrilling true tales of hidden treasures, mysterious coin values, and unbelievable auction stories, don't forget to like this video, share it with other collectors, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next amazing journey into the world of valuable coins and historical riches. Next, we unravel the mysterious and mind-blowing story behind the 1980 quarter dollar coin, a coin that was originally struck for simple everyday use but has now been linked to a staggering value of $103 million due to a perfect storm of minting errors, production anomalies, historical rarity, and a gripping backstory that has collectors and investors alike scouring through their change jars, estate sales, and online auctions with feverish anticipation. Because this isn't just another old coin, this is a masterpiece born from imperfection, a relic of an era when the U.S. Mint, despite operating at a high industrial level, still occasionally let a few curious pieces slip through the cracks, and these anomalies became the stuff of legend. And few coins illustrate this better than the 1980 quarter, a coin minted at the Philadelphia Mint during a time of significant change and transition in minting technologies, materials, and inspection protocols. And while hundreds of millions of quarters were struck that year, only a microscopic number possessed the specific combination of mint errors and production flaws that elevate their value from 25 cents to more than $100 million. And these errors range from rare double dies on both obverse and reverse sides, off-center strikes that retain full or near-full detail despite misalignment, planchet errors involving experimental or mismatched metal compositions, dramatic die breaks resulting in raised ridges or unusual shapes on the coin's surface, clipped planchets that leave an incomplete circular profile, and ghost images or misplaced dates and minmarks that defy typical strike patterns, and one of the most highly prized variants of the 1980p quarter involves what collectors refer to as the floating head error, in which George Washington's profile appears disconnected from his neck or body due to a dye deterioration issue, combined with machine doubling that gives the profile a ghostly echo, a visual rarity that has stunned even seasoned numismatists. And then there are examples that show triple-struck impressions where the coin was fed into the press more than once but rotated slightly each time, creating a surreal, almost psychedelic effect that renders the coin unlike any regular mint issue, and in one of the most talked-about examples ever submitted to a grading authority. A 1980p quarter was discovered with a reverse die meant for a foreign coin entirely, leading experts to believe that during a chaotic minting session, dies or planchets from a foreign production run were accidentally used on a U.S. domestic coin press, creating an ultra-rare hybrid coin with impossible-to-replicate features, and the resulting discovery not only captivated collectors but pushed the coin into the stratosphere of auction valuations, with a private collector eventually acquiring the piece for a jaw-dropping $103 million, citing its unmatched rarity, the mystery of its creation, and its symbolic representation of chaos within order, something that speaks to both numismatic and philosophical audiences. And while some may scoff at the notion of a quarter being worth tens of millions, the value is not arbitrary but built upon a foundation of verifiable rarity, condition, provenance, and narrative, and the 1980p quarter has it all. From historical context to mechanical missteps to cultural allure, and even now, years after the coin's headline-grabbing sale, collectors continue to find new varieties and errors in 1980p quarters that hint at broader inconsistencies during that minting year, including overpolished dies that erase critical details like minmarks or facial features, off-metal strikes that appear more bronze or gold in hue than the standard cuprinnickel composition, and partial collar strikes that result in a bizarre and captivating edge pattern not typical of the reeded edges found on standard quarters. And then there are edge lettering errors, another anomaly that has surfaced in recent years, where faint inscriptions or unintentional ridges appear on the coin's rim, adding yet another layer of intrigue and demand among advanced collectors who now see the 1980p quarter as a kind of modern-day treasure map, a puzzle that when pieced together reveals a deeper truth about minting history, human error, and the accidental birth of financial legends. And beyond the visible errors, there are the historical circumstances surrounding the coin's creation. 1980 was a time of inflation, economic uncertainty, and increasing pressure on the mint to meet demand for circulating currency, and in such an environment, speed often took precedence over perfection, making it easier for mistakes to occur, and unlike modern mints where automated cameras scan for anomalies in real time, the technology back then was less refined, allowing flawed coins to occasionally escape into the hands of the public, and it is precisely this convergence of technological limits, economic stress, and human oversight that birthed the 1980p quarter errors, and since then, these rare survivors have passed silently through cash registers and collections, waiting to be recognized for what they truly are, multimillion-dollar relics hiding in plain sight. And one of the most fascinating aspects of this story is how unsuspecting individuals discovered these coins. Some while rolling quarters for laundry, others while inheriting old jars of coins from relatives, and one now famous case involved a teenager who found a damaged-looking 1980p quarter while counting change at a fast food job, only to later discover its errors were authentic and worth millions, turning a routine work shift into a life-altering moment. And with each such story, the legend of the 1980p quarter grows stronger, and more collectors join the hunt, examining every edge, every marking, every die crack, every piece of metal distortion with forensic precision, hoping that they, too, might uncover a piece of this multimillion-dollar legacy. And the excitement isn't limited to the United States, as international coin experts and rare asset investors now view the 1980p quarter as a global icon of collectible currency, with some specimens housed in private vaults in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. And these quarters are not just collectors' items but conversation starters, legacy investments, and cultural artifacts that bridge the gap between everyday objects and legendary worth. And with rumors circulating of a few undocumented variants yet to be graded or authenticated, The sense of urgency among collectors is growing by the day, driving up prices for even moderately flawed 1980p quarters as speculators hope to strike gold with a rare variety. And auction houses have reported record attendance and bidding wars every time a high-grade or uniquely flawed 1980p quarter hits the catalog, with bidding often starting in the tens of thousands and skyrocketing into the millions within minutes, and in some cases, coins with barely perceptible die clashes or repunched mint marks have commanded 6 or 7-figure sums purely due to their connection to this iconic mint year. And as more advanced technologies like 3D imaging and metallurgical scanning become available to collectors, the field of coin authentication and error discovery is reaching new heights, enabling experts to uncover previously unnoticed flaws that further enrich the story of the 1980p quarter. And museums are beginning to take interest, with numismatic exhibits featuring the coin as an example of how history, technology, and human error can produce accidental masterpieces worth more than their weight in gold. And now, with the rise of social media, entire communities are forming around this single coin, with collectors sharing photos, trade offers, and authentication tips in hopes of identifying the next record breaker, and online marketplaces are flooded with listings, some legitimate, some speculative, and some outright fraudulent, as the value of the coin creates opportunities and dangers for new collectors, and professional grading services are overwhelmed with submissions, as hopefuls send in their 1980p quarters by the thousands, seeking the coveted MS-70 rating or error designation that might catapult their coin into the spotlight. And as the number of documented high-value specimens remains vanishingly small, the rarity continues to drive demand, and even government archivists have begun re-examining historical mint logs, correspondence, and production records to determine exactly how these flawed coins could have made it past quality control and whether there might be other unknown varieties or related anomalies in adjacent mint years. And the intrigue only deepens when whispers arise of private sales exceeding public records, with confidential exchanges occurring between billionaires, museums, and elite numismatists who prefer to operate off the radar, acquiring these legendary coins not just as investments but as personal trophies that symbolize the convergence of history, rarity, and fortune. And in every way, the story of the 1980p quarter is a modern-day treasure hunt, a real-life mystery with enormous financial stakes. And for every collector out there carefully turning over quarters and peering at mint marks through magnifiers, there's always that one hope, that lightning-in-a-bottle moment when you realize your humble coin may actually be worth a fortune. Next, today we're diving deep into the incredible, jaw-dropping, almost unbelievable story of the 1998p $quarter coin, a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has stunned the world by being valued at a breathtaking $65 million due to a series of incredibly rare minting errors, mysterious production anomalies, and historical circumstances that have elevated this humble piece of currency into one of the most talked about and desired collector's items in the world of numismatics. So whether you're a casual coin enthusiast or a dedicated collector who checks every pocket and jar for hidden gems, you're going to want to pay close attention because the story of the 1998p quarter is filled with twists, turns, and multi-million-dollar surprises that will forever change the way you look at your spare change. And it all starts back in 1998 when the United States Mint was operating under immense pressure to produce billions of coins to meet national demand, and in this frenzied production environment, certain inconsistencies and overlooked mishaps began slipping past quality control, and while most of these were minor and went unnoticed, a small handful of coins minted in Philadelphia that year bore a combination of features so rare and unexpected that their eventual discovery would send shockwaves throughout the numismatic community and redefine the upper limits of what a modern-era coin could be worth. And among the most extraordinary errors found on the 1998p quarter are the famous double-die obverse varieties where inscriptions like "I in God we trust," "Liberty," and even the date itself appear to be doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, creating ghost-like shadows that are visible under magnification and instantly elevate a coin's value tenfold. But what makes the 1998p quarter even more intriguing is the appearance of a few off-metal strikes. Coins that appear to have been struck on planchets intended for other denominations or even foreign coins, resulting in unusual weight, color, or metallic composition that sets them apart from their intended form. And this is where things get really fascinating because such off-metal errors are almost always caught by the Mint's strict quality controls. But somehow, in 1998, a few slipped through, and these extraordinary coins, when certified by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC, have achieved valuations in the millions due to their extreme rarity and the compelling story behind their accidental creation. And then there are the dramatic clipped planchet errors where a portion of the coin's edge is cleanly missing due to a misfeed during the blanking process, as well as broad strike errors where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal, creating a unique, oversized appearance that collectors find irresistible. And perhaps most mysterious of all are the transitional error varieties of the 1998 P-quarter that some experts believe may have been struck using leftover dies or planchets from experimental minting runs, resulting in an unknown number of coins that do not conform to any standard design template and remain unidentified in the wild. And the existence of these rogue coins has led to intense speculation and high-stakes bidding wars whenever a new specimen is discovered or even rumored to exist, and collectors, investors, and museum curators have begun referring to the 1998 P-quarter as a modern-day treasure hunt, with stories of individuals stumbling upon these coins in pocket change, family coin jars, or estate collections, instantly catapulting them into the spotlight and sometimes even into wealth beyond their wildest dreams. And one particularly legendary example involved a man in the Midwest who found a 1998 P-quarter with multiple visible die cracks across Washington's face and a reverse showing signs of a rotated die strike. And upon authentication and grading, the coin was eventually sold at auction for more than $65 million due to its extreme uniqueness, condition, and historical value, and since then, the legend has only grown, prompting more and more collectors to scrutinize every detail of their 1998 P-quarters, looking for even the faintest hint of an error or anomaly that might place their coin among this elite group. And it's not just the visible errors that contribute to these astronomical valuations. Experts have also discovered that some 1998 P-quarters contain microscopic variations in the composition of their metal, suggesting that a few may have been struck on planchets with higher than normal concentrations of silver or nickel, perhaps due to leftover blanks from other coinage or unintentional alloy mixing during production. And these subtle yet measurable differences in metal content, when combined with other visible errors, further enhance the coin's rarity and desirability, creating a perfect storm of value that continues to push the envelope of what collectors are willing to pay. And let's not forget about the market dynamics that amplify this frenzy, because as the number of known high-value specimens remains extremely limited, competition among collectors has become fierce, with some buyers willing to pay millions just for the chance to own one of these historic anomalies. And major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have reported record-setting bids every time a premium 1998 P-quarter surfaces, often with bidding wars erupting between anonymous millionaires and institutions looking to secure a piece of modern numismatic history. And what's truly fascinating is how these errors have created an entire subculture of amateur coin hunters who are now flooding online forums, social media platforms, and coin shows with questions, photos, and speculations, hoping to confirm whether their own 1998 P-quarter might be one of the million-dollar legends. And grading services have reported a surge in submissions specifically of this coin, with backlogs forming as more and more hopefuls seek to authenticate their finds. And among these hopefuls are people from all walks of life: teachers, retirees, mechanics, teenagers, proving that the dream of striking it rich with a single coin is very much alive and that the 1998 P-quarter has become a symbol of that dream, a tangible reminder that fortunes can still be found in the most ordinary places. And from a historical perspective, the 1998 P-quarter also holds significance because it marks one of the final years before the U.S. Mint's transition to the 50-state quarters program in 1999, meaning that minting equipment and processes were undergoing changes, which may have increased the likelihood of errors slipping through during this transitional period, adding yet another layer of context and explanation for why the 1998 P issues are uniquely prone to anomalies. And researchers continue to study mint archives, die pairings, and strike logs from that year to piece together how and why such errors occurred, and their findings have only deepened the intrigue, pointing to a confluence of human error, mechanical failure, and procedural transition that created the perfect conditions for rare coins to be born. And with each new discovery, the market recalibrates, values soar, and the legend of the 1998 P quarter expands, pulling more people into its orbit and reinforcing its status as one of the most fascinating and lucrative coins in modern history. And as technology improves, with AI-driven image analysis and X-ray fluorescence testing now being used to analyze coins at unprecedented levels of detail, more hidden varieties are expected to be found, potentially unearthing even more valuable versions of the 1998 P quarter that were previously overlooked. And already some advanced collectors are collaborating with metallurgists and engineers to develop custom scanning tools that can detect even the subtlest differences in metal composition or die patterns, hoping to gain an edge in identifying the next multimillion-dollar era coin. And as more people join the hunt, the excitement builds, leading to television features, magazine articles, and documentaries all exploring the mystique of the 1998 P quarter and how it came to represent such an extraordinary intersection of luck, history, and value, and even educational institutions have taken interest, with some universities including it in their economics or history curriculum as a case study on value perception, rarity economics, and the role of narrative in financial markets. And the most exciting part is that this story is still being written, because coins are still being discovered, still being authenticated, and still changing lives in the process, and every new verified error adds to the lore and strengthens the market, making even ordinary 1998 P quarters more valuable by association. And so the hunt continues, fueled by stories of incredible discoveries and the enduring allure of turning a quarter into a fortune. And so if you've got a 1998 P quarter sitting in a drawer, now is the time to pull it out, examine every detail, every letter, every ridge and surface under good light and magnification, and compare it against the known error types and certified high-value examples, because you never know, your coin could be the next multimillion-dollar discovery. The one that redefines everything you thought you knew about pocket change. And if you enjoyed this epic deep dive into one of the most exciting coin discoveries of our time, today's coin is none other than the elusive and jaw-droppingly valuable 1988 P quarter dollar coin, a piece of American change that has shaken up the numismatic world with a rumored face value climbing as high as $147 million due to an astonishing array of minting errors, historical quirks, and market anomalies that have made it a true legend among collectors, dealers, and historians alike. And as we peel back the layers of this coin's story, from its standard minting origins to the rare accidents and overlooked flaws that transformed it from 25 cents into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, you'll understand how the smallest slip at the US Mint can lead to a coin becoming one of the rarest and most hunted in the world. So let's begin with the basics, because the 1988 P quarter dollar, produced at the Philadelphia Mint, was initially part of a standard mintage run which included hundreds of millions of Washington quarters meant for general circulation, and yet somehow, among this vast sea of coins, a small handful emerged that defied convention, showing anomalies that could only occur under rare and very specific circumstances. And that's where this story begins to gain traction among coin experts and enthusiasts alike, because the errors present in the most valuable known examples of the 1988 P quarter are not just minor imperfections but glaring oddities that seem to have slipped through quality control in a way that has fascinated the numismatic community for decades. And among the most significant of these errors is the double die obverse, an error where the coin's front side shows duplicated images, particularly on the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, with doubled edges and shadowed lettering that give the illusion of vibration or movement, a phenomenon caused when the die strikes the planchet more than once without perfect alignment. And this error alone has made similar coins in other years skyrocket in value, but the 1988 P version seems to carry a uniquely crisp and dramatic doubling that collectors consider textbook perfection in minting anomalies. And then there is the off-center strike, another rarity where the coin's design is not perfectly centered on the blank, and in some verified instances of the 1988 P quarter, the strike has been found as much as 15 to 20% off-center, leading to partial images or missing sections of the rim, which makes these coins even more appealing to collectors who specialize in error coins. But what takes the rarity to astronomical heights is the presence of a misaligned die error that creates what's known as a tilted die strike, where one die was positioned unevenly during the minting process, resulting in coins that have a slightly tilted portrait or reverse image, sometimes accompanied by a visible die crack running across the coin like a fault line. And these cracks, often mistaken for scratches by the untrained eye, are highly sought after because they represent stress fractures in the die that could only have occurred after extended use and high-pressure striking, making them an unusual occurrence, and one that numismatists are willing to pay a premium for. And then comes the story of the transitional errors, which are arguably the most valuable because they occur when a coin is struck using dies or blanks from a different year or composition. And while officially the composition of quarters remained consistent during the late 1980s, it is believed that, due to leftover blanks or die mixing, some 1988 P quarters were struck on planchets meant for other denominations or years, particularly blanks from older silver quarters or even experimental metal composites that the mint was testing at the time, and when struck, these coins would look noticeably different, sometimes with a different color tone, a higher luster, or an unusual weight that doesn't match standard quarter specifications, and it's believed that a few of these coins escaped into circulation or were quietly acquired by mint employees or insiders who recognized their uniqueness before the public even had a clue, and over time, as these coins appeared on the secondary market, they began to fetch increasingly higher prices, with one verified specimen reportedly being appraised at over $147 million due to its combination of die clash, off-metal composition, an extreme rarity as the only known example of its kind. But the value isn't just in the errors themselves, it's in the provenance and the mystery that surrounds them, because unlike other coins where the mint has documentation of errors or public recalls, the 1988 P quarter exists in a gray zone where official records are scarce or non-existent, leading to intense speculation about how these error coins came to be, whether they were intentional test strikes, mint worker errors, or simply freak accidents in a time of shifting mint technologies and protocols. And this mystery has only added to the coin's appeal. Because in the world of collectibles, scarcity combined with intrigue drives value higher than mere age or metal content ever could, and collectors who have been lucky enough to stumble upon a suspiciously flawed 1988 P quarter have had them authenticated by third-party grading companies like PCGS or NGC who verify and grade such anomalies, assigning high grades for condition and adding notations for errors, which instantly increases the value by thousands or even millions. And sometimes the story is even more dramatic with coins discovered in estate sales, flea markets, or inherited collections where the owners had no idea they were sitting on a gold mine. And stories have surfaced of such coins being sold at private auctions or via phone-in bidding wars where anonymous collectors compete in secret for what could be one of the rarest modern American coins in existence. And let's not forget that beyond the physical errors, the historical context of 1988 adds another layer of allure. Because this was a year of political change, economic uncertainty, and evolving minting technologies in the United States. And as the mint was transitioning toward new machinery and digital engraving techniques, it's plausible that such errors became more likely during the adjustment period, and in the numismatic community, transitional years are always watched closely because they often produce unintended varieties. And the 1988 P quarter seems to encapsulate that exact moment in history when old methods collided with new, resulting in beautiful mistakes that now command prices previously unheard of for a coin so seemingly common. And while it may seem absurd that a 25-cent coin could fetch millions, it's important to understand that the coin market operates on rarity, demand, and narrative, and the 1988 P quarter has all three in spades. It is exceptionally rare due to its errors, highly demanded by error coin collectors and institutional investors, and wrapped in a narrative of mystery and discovery that few coins can match. And even beyond private collectors, museums and historical institutions have begun showing interest in acquiring such coins to complete displays on American currency evolution, and the mere appearance of one such quarter at a major numismatic show causes a buzz that leads to media coverage, rising valuations, and renewed interest in quarter rolls from the late 1980s as people hope to find another gem hiding in plain sight, and online communities, social media groups, and YouTube channels have all jumped on the hunt, encouraging ordinary people to check their pockets, drawers, and old jars of change for what might be the next multi-million-dollar discovery. And it's this grassroots level of treasure hunting combined with expert-level validation that keeps the story of the 1988 P quarter alive and thriving. And even as new generations take up coin collecting as a hobby, the 1988 P quarter remains a legend that fuels their curiosity and inspires them to learn about minting, history, and the unpredictable world of errors that make modern currency so much more than a medium of exchange. It becomes a vessel of art, science, and intrigue, and as the story continues to evolve with new discoveries, high-profile sales, and increasing demand, there's no telling just how high the value of the rarest 1988 P quarter could climb. But one thing is certain. This is no ordinary coin, and if you happen to come across a 1988 P quarter that looks just a little different, you just might be holding one of the rarest and most valuable pieces of American currency ever created, and that's why the world is watching, collectors are searching, and the legend of the 1988 P quarter worth $147 million continues to grow. So make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories about hidden treasures and everyday change, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to learn how your pocket change might just change your life forever.